And we will start. All right, so what we're going to talk today. So today we're going to actually talk more of the things that you can do with Selenium. So as you remember, so far we just covered a few functionality. It's basically right now we know how to open the page, how to click to the elements, how to verify elements is present, how to click to that elements, how to clear the text fields. So what else? Oh yeah, and we also know how to interact and manipulate with multiple elements in a list, right? So it's not all the cases that Selenium can do for you. So here is our agenda. So we will gonna talk more about the actions that you can do in Selenium. Also, I'm gonna cover like multiple windows and how can we handle when we will have like different windows open and or different tabs are open and all of the stuff. And also we're gonna talk about the frames, particularly for the iframe elements. So first of all, I'm gonna explain you what the frames is and how can we interact with them. Because this one's a little bit tricky. Yeah, we're gonna like cover it. So for JavaScript executor and table grids and cookies, we probably won't have time today to cover it, so I will leave it on for Saturday class. But basically, because Selenium is open in the browser, right? And maybe you know that already, maybe you don't. Like all the websites, they are written in JavaScript. And if you're working with Chrome DevTool, you basically can execute some of the JavaScript code within the browser. And you can like, I don't know, like retrieve some of the element or execute some of the elements, some of the actions, sorry. And after that, you can basically trick browser just cutting off some edges, which is in general not a good practice, but sometimes you actually need it. So we're gonna talk about it more. Table grids, so that's basically the elements with a table. And sometimes you will need to grab like all the value inside the table and interact with that as well. And also cookies. So cookies basically the values, like a session values. Like let's say if you log into the system and if you close the browser, if you open the browser, like your session will persist. It's basically how the browser knows that you already logged in. It actually saves the cookies from the backend. And you can also interact with that in your browser, delete cookies or add cookies or like do something else. Yeah, and window size, some of you, like I already know that some of you implemented partial the code when they're maximizing the driver window for their test. So we're gonna talk a little bit about it more. So you don't, you're not only can maximize it, right? You can also set a specific resolution for your browser and check it right there. All right, so let's start this off. So the first thing that we're gonna cover today is an actions. So basically what the actions means, it's specific class in Selenium, which like there's like some of the cases when just clicking to the elements or like typing or like clearing, it's not enough. Sometimes you may need to implement some like advanced techniques. Let's say sometimes you may want to if like some elements have pre-populations, like let's say in the search bar, like after you start to type the London or like Los Angeles, it may pre-populate the search options that you can choose. And sometimes it may not work once you will use a send elements method, because you kind of like using the internal functions how to do that. So and for this case, you may actually emulate users' actions when it actually clicking, like typing to the keyboards and like typing actually as the user does it. And not only that, you can basically emulate any keys in your keyboard. So let's say you can click to the tab key, or you can click to the escape key, or like shift key, or like control, or like alt. So basically what you can do, you can type something, or you can like double click on it and click Control C just to copy this element. Yeah, it's like I won't say it's like really frequently used, but sometimes in certain cases you may need to use it just to verify some of the like additional actions. Or another case, you may also like if you ever work with advanced web applications, let's say if you used Google Calendar. Like you know that there is you can open the calendar, you can create event, and you also can move your events, not only setting it in the settings itself. You can also click to the events and using like a drag and drop, just basically moving your mouse to the element, clicking on it, holding it, and drag to the other day or like other month and release the key. And yeah, that's basically how can you do that. And Selenium allows you to emulate all of these actions. So right now, let's talk a little bit more about the built-in methods for the actions API. So first of all, you can click and hold, as I mentioned before. Usually, like this method used for drag and drop action. So you will need to start to click and hold first, and then use a move method or like drag and drop, and then finally release it. The another thing is context click. It's basically you are need to, yeah, basically as it's mentioned here, click like right click to the mouse, or you can also like double click, drag and drop. You can also use like another implementation of drag and drop where you are specifying the coordinates where you want it to be released and in which particular space you want to release it. Yeah, so a little bit later, I'm gonna show you one of the simple example how you can do that. So like after that, you will have like more, like hopefully you will have a more clear understanding how it works. So this is another group of methods. So key down method, it's actually emulating when user to the clicking to the button, to the key in a keyboard and not releasing it. Key up method, it basically emulates when user release the key, and that's it. So basically you will need to use these methods as a pair, as a combination once you will do some of the actions. So for a move by, so this is a move by offset. In this case, you are moving your mouse to some of the elements. And in the first implementation, you are specifying the coordinates on the page where you want to move your mouse. In the second one, move to the element, you can actually find element first. And instead of passing coordinates, you can just pass the element locator and move your mouse right there. So why do you need it? Sometimes there are like certain cases in a web application where you will need to move your mouse to have
I can hear him. Yeah, me either.
Same thing.
Azad, come back.
Hear us? I don't think he can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
probably something happens with his internet connection.
Probably an internet. Do you guys use Wi-Fi?
Yep.
Yes.
That's what happens when you use Wi-Fi. Wired connections only. So, do you guys have any questions? We can discuss something while we're waiting.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question about the page factory. So it initializes the elements on the page by proxy, right?
Sorry, guys. My internet just died for some reason. Can you guys still hear me? Guys?
Yes, we can. We can now.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. Just some technical difficulties. Let me share my screen again.
There is Nadia asking a question. I think she can continue.
Yes, while you're sharing the question. So the page factory, it creates, it instantiates the objects of the page and initialize the fields of this object by proxy, right? By proxy. Okay. And what is the suggestion, for instance, in the situation when one element changes? For instance, you click a button and the web element itself actually changes, but it has the same locator. But practically, in practice, this is a different element.
Yeah, right. So your proxy will basically expire and it will throw you stale element exception in that case.
How do I
that one is tough, and I have quite a few concerns around using classic page factory. So this is one of them, and another one is wait, explicit wait. Not nice at all. So I'm not sure if we actually have we started using page factory or no.
In the bootcamp, I know.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels like we're gonna cover that a little bit later, but my suggestion, and that's what we're gonna use later on, instead of re-implementing the wheel, I would just recommend you to use some helper library called Selenium, and that thing will take care of all of those things.
I see, Selenium. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then it has a lot of like waits. It has a like nice jQuery-like syntax, very concise, and it can upload files, download files. I believe like a lot of things. Otherwise, I built a couple of in the different projects. I built this Selenium helpers, but I mean at the end it's like just re-implementing the wheel every time. So I wouldn't recommend you to do that. So sorry, but that's the off top for now. Azad, you can continue.
Alrighty. All right, guys. In which point you lost me? What I was doing before I lost? Did I start to talk about the move to the element method?
Can you share your presentation and we can tell when you stop?
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I believe I start to talk about, like, I covered key down and key up methods. Have you guys heard it? Like, have I been here, or like you lost me already?
Yeah.
In this?
And
Alright.
I think also you covered move by offset.
Yes, and after that, I wanted to show you how, like, what I mean by that. Yeah, so basically, sometimes you may have cases when you will need to emulate users when user move a mouse to certain elements. Like, let's say if you move your mouse to the earn money or like create trip, like you see this like little line appears on this element. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
You can.
All right, and sometimes you may need the test cases to verify this element appears here. And you cannot basically do that using the standard Selenium methods. In this case, you will need to use like action class and this like move to element methods. So this will help you to move out. Or let's say for like any text fields, let's say like in this email, so you can type something using a shift, and you can double click, and you can also copy this. I mean, I don't know, like some kind of like this stuff that normal user can do only using the keyboard or like using the mouse, but not just the typical click, but more like advanced click levels. Alrighty, so what else? Release method, it basically doing what it's supposed to do. It's releasing the mouse button. And send keys, it's what we already covered. It just basically sends the string that you're passing to these fields. And I believe, yeah, so this is a kind of like raw code, how it's looked like. So actually I'm gonna show you how it's how it should be implemented. All right. Okay, before I will start to write a code, as you guys remember, I need to make sure I am on the right branch, right? So how can I do that? First of all, I need to make sure I'm on the same like exact repository. I'm on the DNS automation. And right now I need to check in which branch I am. So for that, I need to type git status and verify my branch is a master and it's up to date. There's nothing to pull. And here you can actually verify it in the source tree as well. Yeah. And from here, I can create like a new branch, name it as Selenium actions, and create it. Yeah, you can also do the same thing on terminal as well, or like in your IntelliJ IDE. So there's basically no difference how you can do that. Alrighty, so now I need to create a test class. So it's not part, like it's not, so this is just an example. It's not like a real test case. So for that, I'm gonna go here under the test folder. I'm gonna, okay, under the Java folder, I'm gonna create like a new Java class and name it as a Selenium actions example tests. Click OK, and here we go. We have a new created class, right? Let me zoom it really quick so you will be able to see. All right. So now let me create some simple test. So I'll probably reuse this, paste it here. I will apply all these imports. So it's not before method setup. I would name it as actions example test. Perfect. So, and it complains that the driver cannot be found. For that, that's because I haven't specified the type for this variable, and that should be the web driver. And here we go. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I want to show you example of the test case. If, let's say, I want to go to the login page, and if I want to type something, use like pressing the shift tab, the shift key, so, and writing the test string, press like at the same time pressing to the shift one. So basically my expected result will be, it should be typed uppercase. And also what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select it using like a double click method. All right. All right, so what we can do now, we can switch to the code back. And all right, so before I will do that, I will need to find, so first of all, I will need to go to the login page, right? So here I am right now. And after that, I will need to find this email address locator, which is this one. And we already actually have it in our login test. And this one is have really simple locator. So we can like locate this element using this placeholder. So for that, I need to type fab element login field equal to driver dot find element by CSS selector. So you guys should remember why I'm using CSS selector, not the XPath. And here I need to specify the locator for it, right? So probably, okay, let's use ID email. Email. And as you remember, this pound sign, this is a special short case for the CSS, which identifies the ID of the element. All right, this is the first thing. And after that, what we will need to do, we will need to initiate this action class API. So to do that, I need to put action and name it as, I don't know. So it won't be like only one action. There will be like multiple. So I will name it as a series of actions, right? And now I am going to specify this builder method, builder, I believe. And okay, I will leave it as here. And all right, guys. So this is my login page, right? So what I want to show you. So first of all, I want to move my mouse here to this like email field, and then click to it, and then press my shift button, and then I want to send this text, which is a test. Yeah, which is a test. And because I'm pressing the shift key, it will be like all uppercase. After that, I will release this shift key using key up method. And after that, I will double click on it, and basically I will implement the context click method here. All right, so let's build everything what I just said. Oh yeah, I forgot to initiate the action class that I mentioned before. So which is a new actions. And in the constructor, I need to pass my driver within. But for some reason, it's actually cannot. Oh, perfect. All right. So it's out here. It should not be case. Actions, action driver. All right. So let me start to write it down. And oh yeah, I see. Okay. Let's name it like actions. And here I need to put it here. Right, and here we go. So now I will need to specify multiple actions. So as you remember, the first action would be let me switch back. So the first action would be moved to the element. So I will move my mouse here to the email field. And here I will need to specify it, move to element. And as a parameter, I will need to pass this login field. Let me set a line here. All right, and that's not. Right, here we go. So after that, what else I need to do? I need to click to this field, right? So I'm clicking, and within this click, I also need to specify this login field as a parameter. And after that, what I will need to do, I will need to press my Shift button, which is a key up. And inside of that, I will need to pass my, well, first of all, I will need to pass my locator, which is this one. And I will need to pass my shift keys. So to do that, there is a special class for it. It's called key. And within this key, I will need to set shift 1. And of course, I will need to import it first. But maybe not. Actually, maybe not this one. Let me. Perfect. Yeah. And after I'm pressing the key up key, so basically what I need to do, I will need to send this test text, right? So to do that, I'm using send keys method, and within that, I will need to pass this locator again. And after that, I will need to press, I will need to send this string that I'm going to pass. So which is, okay, let's use test. All right, after that, I need to release my shift key. Oh wait, sorry. This one is the key down because we're pressing it. We're pressing it down, and this one should be key up. Edit. Yeah, perfect. And in this case, I also need to send this locator, and after that, I will need to specify which key I am releasing, which is a key, Shift. All right, so what else we can do here? We can also like double click to this text. So we can use like double click method here. And within that, we are also need to pass this locator. All right, so we can also.
Can I ask a question really quick? What's the
Yep.
difference between key down and key up?
So key down, you are pressing key, like Shift key. Key up, you are releasing key.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what else we can do? Type context click, and after that, basically that's it. So, but here's a final method that you can use once you will like implement the multiple actions here. For the actions, it's actually called build. Yeah, this is kind of like a final point, and only after that, I am adding this, and which is basically closing the whole line of that.
Shouldn't you do perform as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that after I click here and perform. All right, so it's actually complains that the type is different. So probably we imported the wrong class, I believe. Yes. So it should be this one, but before it's auto import another one. All right, so I'm missing parentheses here, and our method is finished. But after browser will implement all of these actions, it's gonna close it. So we want to prevent it and see the final result. For that, let me copy this string, let me pass it here, and let's put the breakpoint here. And also what I miss here, I need to set annotation test. So testng will identify this method as a test method. And right now we should be good to run it. Yeah, let's try. All right, nothing happened. Let's see why. So nothing happened because it says no such element. Wait. Oh, okay, you just start. So we need to change it to the public. Perfect. So now let's do it one more time. Yeah, for some reason my IntelliJ IDE is slow today. But finally it's running. All right, so let's try to open the login page. It should find this element, and yeah, so it stopped on this point. But as you guys can see here, it's actually typed the test uppercase because the shift key was like pressed and hold while user were typed it. And also we see this text is actually selected because we also used like a double click and context click within. And as you guys can see, it's working like that, as we all specified here.
Azad, may I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we use context click all the time with double click? Why do we need the context click?
Context click, basically, it's actually, let's try to comment this out and run again and see what happens. But before that, let me for some reason, actually, by the way, Chrome is crashing if you are having multiple drivers opened. And this actually was the reason why it's crashed on Tuesday. And it's actually crashed also before the lesson. So just be mindful of that. All right.
Yeah, and this whole action class is not really very kind of cross-platform compatible. So if you try to run this on different browsers, you can see like some unpredictable results. So just keep it in mind and be careful with this thing.
All right, so as we can see here, guys, and as you can see, here's like no difference. It's because context click is for, let me open my presentation. Yeah, context click, I believe it's for when you're clicking to the, yeah, it's for right click. So basically what it was doing this action. Well, in this deans.com, they don't have a customized, like they don't have customized context menu. But let's say if you go to the Google Slides, and here if you click to the, if you right click to the map, you see is this context menu is kind of like customized, right? So it's not like standard like this one, it's like really customizable. And to check, to verify all this functionality, you will need to like basically click to the right mouse and click to these elements.
Okay, thank you.
Did it answer your question? What?
Yes, thank you.
All right, any other questions, guys, before we will move forward? Because I believe this part may be a bit complicated, like confusing for you, because as you can see here, what we are doing, we are basically calling multiple methods within this action object. And action object is, as you can see here, we are initiated in this point, and we are initiating it using the action class and passing driver. And why I moved everything to the new line, it's only because I want it to be like more readable. So you basically can pass everything in one screen, in one line, but it will be just harder to read it. So this will be like something like this. Yeah. All right, does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
All right. So let me actually save my progress. As you guys doing it right now, saving your current work. So to do that, let me open the source tree. I already created the branch, and all I need to do to save it, just to add the commits. So select this one and specify the message saying added actions example. So I'm not gonna push it yet, I'm just gonna commit it. Yes. All right. Let's continue, guys. Yeah, there's basically a lot of things that you can do using the actions. I just created simple ones, just one thing that came to my mind, but there's actually a lot of variety of things that you can do to do that. All right, so here is another advanced thing that you can use Selenium. Sometimes when you click to the link, it may open not in the same tab. It may also open it on the different window or in a different tab. In this case, you will need to interact with multiple windows, right? So, but here is the thing. In Selenium, basically all the windows, like all the separate windows, it's the same thing as the separate tabs. So basically, here is for Selenium, there's absolutely no difference if you have different windows like this, or different like multiple tabs. So it's all the same thing. All right, and let's find the test case for DINs where you can use multiple windows. If you scroll down to the footer, as you can see here, there's the links posted. And if you click to this link, let's say to our blog, it will open the blog page on the, yeah, I'm not sure why it's opening in production. That's probably their links routes wasn't set up correctly. So technically it should open the blog on staging. But maybe they don't have a staging environment for the blog itself. Maybe it's like separate component. Usually like blocks, they are written in another platform. Is this maybe like a WordPress or like something else? But yeah, we don't know. But we still need to check that this link is working right. So let's create a test case once we will open the main page. Scroll down, find this link, click to it, so it will open this new window, and let's switch back to the parent, like to the main window. All right, so to do that, let me open the IntelliJ IDE, and let me create another method. We don't need this. We don't need this link because we will do it from the home page. And let's rename it, instead of actions example test, let's name it something like multiple windows example. Windows example test. All right, so how, here's actually a question for you guys. After I open the home page, right? How can I scroll? Have you guys ever used scroll in your test cases? I'm sure like some of you already did that.
Yeah, in one of my projects, it was a long page, but in order to click some elements, they actually not displayed on the page. So you have to scroll to the section and it will fire a jQuery call to the backend, and that will upload those tiles. So basically in that case, there is the only way really to do that, you need to scroll down a little bit and wait for those tiles. So you can see this from time to time.
Yep.
But usually, even if it's like just a long page, and you need to click some element that is not in the viewport, and by viewport I mean the screen that you can see right now. If it was loaded to the page already, if it's visible but not in the viewport, you can just basically perform any actions. Browser will actually scroll to the element automatically, so you don't have to do it if it's visible. And I think for the most cases, it's the way it is for this project, but I don't know if you guys remember, like Contacti, for example, you can scroll, it's like unlimited scroll when it comes to like posts. So you can call this method to actually scroll down and load the new posts as well.
Dennis, how do we check if the elements are like loaded so we don't need to scroll? How do we know that it's like loaded or not?
You basically just need to scroll down once, and if you see those elements are there immediately, then you're good. But sometimes you scroll down and there is nothing, and then it takes like fraction of a second maybe to really load some elements. So you will see they kind of blinking.
Mm-hmm. So this page is not like, it's basically loads all the elements at once, but more advanced web applications, they can actually load all the elements while you are scrolling it.
I
Like
think
these elements
actually
may
the
not be loaded
tiles,
until...
I think tiles are actually get loaded after with the synchronous call, but I can be wrong. So if you refresh, the page load is there, but you see tiles were not there. The very first two tiles, these ones. And you can know that because Selenium WebDriver waits for the page load, and the page load is basically, if you see the spinning image, the spinner in the tab itself instead of the icon over there, that means that it's still loading. But once it's done and you can see the icon, favorite icon, right? Then, but you don't see these elements on the page. These are not the page. These are after page load. So
Exactly. All right, guys. Any guesses? How can I scroll? What should I use?
By using JavaScript executor library.
Yeah. Any other ideas?
I think there should be a method. You can Google it.
Which one?
I don't know, but like the same thing like we're using for shift or like key down or key up, there should be something similar to scroll the page.
Or maybe just pointing your mouse to the scroll and clicking several times.
Yeah, but I would say the first suggestion. Who said to use the JavaScript executor?
Me.
Okay, so this would be the easiest option actually to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, I didn't want like. So we will talk more about the JavaScript executor. So basically, what it's doing is it's allow you to pass JavaScript code within your browser and to execute some of the JavaScript code within your browser. So basically, let me actually copy this JavaScript code. So if I open the console, right? So here is the JavaScript code, which will allow us to scroll down to the page, which is a window that scroll to, and 0, it's a, I believe it's a starting point, and the document body scroll high, it's basically the exit point. And if I press this one, as you can see, it scrolls to the bottom of the page, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling that 0 means the horizontal coordinate, and the second one is vertical, basically to the end of the screen.
All right, so let's get back to this. So we need to, for JavaScript executor, it's a separate class that we will need to initiate. So I already specify the type. So I need to specify the object, which like, let's name it JS, equal to the new JavaScript executor. And I believe I need to pass a driver within that. and imports. Wait, JavaScript executor. That's weird. All right, so it doesn't give me this option. Maybe I don't need the passage.
Azat, I see that second JavaScript executor should be in parentheses. Yeah, and then after that, just driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a cast driver to JavaScript executor, I believe. Yeah.
All right. If I need to cast it, let's do that. Perfect. So we have now we have a JavaScript executor, which is an object.
No,
I do.
Okay, good for you. So if you guys don't know, you can actually force the object to kind of become some other type of object. So basically, they all implement, you kind of saying because driver implements a WebDriver protocol, but in this case, you kind of forcing it to become JavaScript executor. So probably it doesn't make sense right now, but later on we will cover this.
All right. So we have a JavaScript object, right? So let's work with that. So after that, I will need to use a special method, which is a execute script. And within this execute script method, I need to pass the JavaScript code that I actually used right here to scroll down. All right, so basically that's it. After it will scroll down, what we'll need to do, we will need to click to this our blog link, right? So let's find a locator for that. So, well, again, like this one is using the production link. And for now, let's, let me copy it first. Let me remove this one. And yeah. Well, let's use the full string for now. So what we can do here, we can actually find this element and click on it. But to write our test more stable, what we can do, we can actually use explicitly wait until this element is appeared and it's scrolled. So to do that, let's initiate it really quick. So WebDriver wait to the new WebDriver wait, and what we need to pass. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Guys?
Yes, okay.
All right. Just wanted to make sure because my internet works like really weird today. All right, so what I will need to pass here, I will need to pass, as you remember from our explicit wait class, I will need to pass the driver, and I will need to pass the maximum timeout, which is, let's say, 10 seconds. All right, closing. After that, what should we do? We need to type wait dot until expected I believe it's yeah, expected conditions, which is not, yeah, this one. And under expected condition, we should specify which condition we want to wait. Let's see what we can use. Let's use visibility of element located, which is a perfect example. And within that, we need to use a by method class, sorry, and pass CSS selector. And within that, let's pass the locator itself. And let's use a single quote here. All right, after we found this element and we know it's located, let's click to it. All right, so in this case, it will click to this. It will click to this block, and it will open the block page, and it will switch to the new opened window. All right, let's actually set breakpoint just to make sure it's working until this point. Let me run the debug. So nothing happens. It's probably because, yeah, it just started to load. No. Perfect. So it's open the main page. It's loading. It's executing this JavaScript command. It's waiting until the hour block is visible. It's still waiting for it. Still waiting. And as you guys remember, we set 10 seconds timeout until it fails. So that's probably gonna fail right now. And yeah, so it's gonna fail. And what do you guys think why it's failing? Why it's gonna fail? Without seeing any error. So the problem is here. Any ideas, guys?
Element is not visible.
No, it is. It's like located and visible. We're using it here. Any other ideas, guys? You guys remember how we're passing the CSS locators, right? So here's something that I've missed. And what is that?
Star?
I'm using the full match of the link. If I will skip this one, yeah, I will need to use a star. But what else, guys? How should I wrap it? How do I need to wrap?
Square brackets.
Exactly. That's what I missed here. All right, let's prevent my Chrome browser to crash. Let's close this browser and let's run in debug mode again. And let's wait. Let's wait a few more seconds. Okay, so it's opening the home page again. It's actually was very fast. So what it did is it scrolled to the bottom and it clicked to the hour block. And as you remember, it stayed on this new opened tab here. And let's say we don't want to stay here. We want to go back to our main tab, right? So how can we do that? So to switch back to the main window or the main tab, there is actually a special method. Okay, so first of all, we need to call the driver, and also we will need to call switch to. As you remember, our Tuesday lesson, we used the same method to switch to the alerts, right? So here is the same idea. We are switching to the window, and you actually will also use this method once you will switch to the frames in the iframes elements, which we're gonna cover a little bit later. And after that, I'm switching not to the frame, I'm switching not to the alerts, I'm switching to the window. And which window I am switching. To do that, I actually need to specify, I actually need to get the window, like the first parent window in the beginning, which is actually I will do after I will go to the main page, to the dashboard page. So to do that, I'm gonna use this method, which is a get window handle. It's also like built in the driver method, which get the current window. And I named it as a main window, so I'm gonna copy it here and paste it right here. And let's close this one. And let's run this method one more time. All right, so it starts to run. It opens the home page, scrolling down, clicking to this link, going here, and now it's switching back to the main app. Yeah. Again, like it's running like really fast, so we can't really see it. So the only way to see it is just to verify the final result. So we will basically need to freeze it using this debug tab here. Does it make sense, guys? Does it make sense? How can you interact with different tabs and windows?
Yes.
So using the same idea, yeah, go ahead.
If we have like 4 windows open and we want to switch to the second window, should we put this line of code below there when we defining the driver get to this certain URL?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, you will need to, let me copy that. So after we click to here, right, we will be on a block page. So you can also paste it here and name it as a block window. And after switching to the main window, you can also switch back to the block window.
Okay, thank you.
Let me actually verify it's actually working. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with IntelliJ IDEA today, but for some reason it's really slow. All right, and well, it didn't switch actually. So probably because we are need it. I believe because it's actually haven't opened it yet, and when we call this method, it actually gets the latest, the parent one. And what I would do here, I would, after I open the blog page, I will verify some of the elements for the blog. Let's say this, I don't know, the banner, which is a hero overlay. After I will verify this element is present, only after that I will be 100% sure I am on the blog page. And only after that I will call this method and save the page, the window, as a separate variable. And only after that I will switch to that. Does it make sense, guys, the full idea here, why we need to do that?
Yes.
All right. All right, guys, any other questions so far about the windows and the actions? Because we also haven't covered frames, and we also haven't covered much JavaScript executor. So this is a like really big topic. So like we don't have a time to cover it today. So I like probably won't start it. So I will start it in Saturday, starting from these two things.
Azat, what about Windows in the like Mac Windows or Windows? For example, if I want to upload some file and it opens the window with my files, can I operate with them using Selenium or not really?
So after you open your like folders, like folder windows, that would be not part of the web application, and you won't be able to really interact with that. You can actually perform like upload and download things in Selenium, but you cannot like really interact with your like desktop part of it.
Mm-hmm. So basically, we cannot cover this kind of test cases in Selenium.
Well, you can basically download something and kind of using like custom methods to verify it's downloaded. But this thing actually is a hard things to test because nothing like standard comes to my mind. So you will need to implement some custom things. How can you do that?
Yeah, so basically, if you open that window with like save file, this is operating system window, and Selenium cannot work with that because of security. Pretty much, it's by design. So there is a workaround. You can just set the default download folder, and you can configure browser not to open up that window, but it will download the file without asking to the folder you configure upfront. However, again, once you download the file, it will be residing in file system, and as you can imagine, Selenium cannot work with the file system because it was built for web application. However, Java itself or any other programming language can get access to file system. It's pretty easy to do actually. So by just using the same default path and the file name, you can really just access that file, but that's out of Selenium scope. Well, you can basically do anything with that. You can read it, you can parse it, but again, this is not Selenium.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, the question how the driver switch to works if there is parallelization of test run on the same machine. I mean, running in multiple threads, many threads, how that will handle?
Yeah, so every window has its own window handle, which is basically like a hash, a unique identifier of the window, so it works fine.
Okay.
Did it answer your question, Anya?
Well, yeah, it at least gave me a hint. So.
Okay.
So it has, each window has a handler. So then that means that, yeah, it will know which handler to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have that code anywhere, Azad?
What's up?
Do you have that code with the switching to different window?
Mm-hmm.
So the problem there, once you switch to that window, you once you're done with that, you have to, yeah, you see line 52, driver get window handle. You can actually get all the list of all the open handles, I believe, and then you can like switch between them. But you have to switch to the main one once you, if you need it. Otherwise, once you switch to the second one, even if you close it, Selenium will be pointing to that closed window and it will just crash next time. But in this case, we are not doing anything else, so it's fine just to keep it as it is.
Okay, I see.
Okay, any other questions, guys?
Hey, how about if you implement not that switch window, right, method, but just pressing the Option, Command, and left arrow key? Like you switch window, like human switch windows in, on keyboard?
No, so Selenium,
here, like
Selenium, it's very strict actually. Even if you open, let's say you click some element and that opens up another tab and it's active, Selenium will be dealing with the old one anyways. It's not gonna do anything. Even though it's like active and you can see it, Selenium is still pointing to the old one.
Okay.
So you have to do it like manually every time. Or you can just really just ignore it if it doesn't bother you. But for example, if you let's say if you buy something with PayPal, there is usually a separate window and you have to log into your PayPal account and select like payment method and all that stuff. And once you're done, that window will be closed and you will have to switch back to your original one just to make sure all the information from PayPal get transferred to your original window. So you can see it, but you have to do switch twice in that case. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys, any last questions before we will finish our session? All right, I will take it as a no. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you all on Saturday. All right.
Okay.
Goodbye, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.